I'm going to take you through the exact steps to building a budget you can actually stick to start to finish. Hey there, my name is Kristen. Thanks so much for clicking on this video today. I have so many budgeting videos here on my channel. In fact, you can binge watch them all just by clicking on my budgeting playlist. I'll link it up here in the cards and down below in the description box. But it's been a really long time since I've gone through the very basic framework of how to create a budget, but not just any budget, a budget that actually works for you. We're going to start at the very beginning, and I'm going to take you through every single step you need in their most simple form to teach you the easy way to create a budget. If you want to know exactly how I budget, again, check out that budgeting playlist. I did over 2 years of monthly budget videos showing you my exact process that I use personally, showing you my exact budget numbers. And if you're interested in that, you can go check those out. But today we are going to use a hypothetical, super simplified budget, because the point of this video is to really help you grasp the actual concepts when it comes to budgeting. I don't want you to get tripped up on trying to do the math or being a little bit confused where this total came from, where that total came from. So we're going to be using minimal expenses. We're going to be using whole round numbers just for ease and simplicity so that you can really stick with what we're talking about and really understand the process that you need to be following if you want to create a budget that you can stick to for the long haul. Budgeting is something I want to see you get in the habit of doing long term, because it is the number one action that is going to help you reach all your financial goals and hopefully financial freedom eventually. If this sounds good to you, I would appreciate if you would take a quick second and give this video a thumbs up and tell the YouTube algorithm that you want to see more videos like this from me on my channel. Go ahead and leave me a comment down below and let me know what has been your biggest struggle when it comes to creating a budget that actually works for you. So I did go back and forth as to whether I wanted to film this video using a budget spreadsheet or using the pen and paper budget that I've been showing you for probably over a year now. And I decided to go ahead with the pen and paper budget. As much as I love a good budget spreadsheet, in fact, I sell a budget spreadsheet and a budget spreadsheet bundle. I'll leave the links for those down below and you can check them out if you're in the market for a good, simple spreadsheet. But the reason I decided to go with pen and paper for today is because I'm a big believer that when you are first getting started budgeting, it's really helpful for you to manually write your budget out with pen and paper. I don't know if it goes back to grade school where we used to have to write our spelling words multiple times a day, but there is just something about creating a budget when you are actually having to write everything out, do the math yourself. I mean, with a calculator, of course, but versus a spreadsheet where it's going to total for you automatically, and you have to be in there crossing things off, erasing things, rewriting them, updating them. I just feel as though it gives you a much better handle on your finances, on your numbers, on your budget overall, especially when you're starting out. So I do recommend you start with pen and paper. Once you get the hang of it, absolutely use a budgeting app, use a budgeting spreadsheet, whatever works for you. It really doesn't matter. The goal here is to become as efficient and effective as possible when budgeting, so you're not spending a ton of time on it every day, every week, every month, because the more time it takes out of your day, the less likely it becomes that you will be able to remain consistent with your budgeting process over time. And again, that's what we want. We're looking for consistency and longevity. If you think that you could really benefit from seeing this video in a version where I'm using my budgeting spreadsheet instead of pen and paper, go ahead, leave me a comment, let me know. And if enough people seem to want it, then I will go ahead and film that as well. Before you start creating your actual budget, you're going to want to take a couple minutes and gather all of the information that you're going to need. So that would be budgeting supplies, pens, calculator, and especially some recent banking statement. So I would go at least 3 months back and grab your bank statement, your credit card statements, maybe even print off PayPal and Venmo statements if that's something that you use to spend money or pay for things often. And then the next thing you need is something to actually write out your budget on. So I have a couple different options for you. You can either use just a plain sheet of paper, or you can go ahead and sign up for my free budget course. It's 5 days. You will get a new lesson sent to your email every day, and you'll also get a printable workbook with a whole bunch of different budget sheets, trackers, worksheets. That's going to take you through the whole course, and it will also give you the budget worksheet that you need to use to follow along in this video today. Go and grab your supplies and let's get started. Now you have all of your supplies and you're ready to go. The first place I like to start is by filling in a bill calendar for the budget period that I'm creating my budget for. Now, I budget every paycheck by itself. We budget using mostly my husband's pay, and he is paid every other week. So you can either budget by paycheck, budget by month, whatever frequency you'd like. Personally, I think budgeting each paycheck is the best way to go. I feel like it lets you get a little bit more detailed and really break things down, get a little bit more granular, and just have a much better understanding of where your money is actually going. I also highly recommend you doing a zero-based budget, which means that at the very end of your budget, you want your income minus your expenses to equal 0. So the very first thing you're going to do when you fill in a budget calendar, and again, if you sign up for my free budget course, you'll get a calendar in the workbook as well. Go ahead and write down the dates that you are going to be budgeting for, and then you can fill in the numbers. And then all you want to do is go ahead and look through your bank statement, look through your checkbook, and mark down every bill that you need to pay and when it's due. Go through your bank statement, go through your credit card statement, go ahead and look through your checkbook, and take anything that you need to pay during these dates and mark it on your bill calendar. That way, when you sit down and you're actually paid and you're going through and paying your bills, you're planning your budget, you know exactly what you need to take care of with your paycheck that's going to cover July 22nd to August 4th. So in this example, this person would then get a new paycheck on August 5th, okay? So we are only worrying about what we need to pay during this budget period. So if you're budgeting one paycheck at a time, of course, you're just going to mark those pay period dates. If you're planning on budgeting an entire month at a time, then you would go ahead and make those dates reflect the budget period that you are going to be preparing for. The whole point of a budget is to go ahead and plan out every single penny of your paycheck that is coming in, but you want to plan it out before the paycheck actually hits your bank account. So we want to be proactive when we're budgeting. We don't want to be reactive, right? We want to plan ahead. That way we know how we're going to handle our money when it gets here. So if we're looking at this example here, we have mortgage, cable, and cell phone due on the 22nd. We have electric and gas due on the 31st, and we have a water bill due on the 4th. That's a quick overview of how to use a budget calendar. It's just a good way to help you prepare, kind of brainstorm out all of the things that you're going to need to take care of when you are paid for this budget period. There's also a little note section down here. Sometimes I like to write down what my goal is for the month. Sometimes I just need to make a note on a specific charge, but you do have a little bit of space at the bottom of the paper. We're going to move on to filling in our actual budget worksheet, creating our actual budget. One thing that I think is a good practice to get into is to go ahead and highlight, circle in a different color, or however you want to make note. But I like to go ahead and highlight all these in this color, because I will hang on to this budget calendar and I'll just go ahead and use it for the next pay since it has plenty of space. And then the next pay, you can go ahead and highlight those expenses that you're planning to pay in a different color. Of course, you don't have to do that, but if you're a visual person, you might find it helpful. The first thing you want to do when you're working on your budget is just go ahead and copy over the budget dates that you're going to be focusing on. And then the first section here is income. You'll notice that I have two columns here. The first one says planned and the second one says actual. And that is because the planned column, it's in every section, you're going to go ahead and use right now when you're planning out your budget. The actual column, you are then going to use when you come back and you are reconciling or closing or balancing your budget at the end of the budget period. So right now we are going to prepare this budget that will start on July 22nd, and right around August 4th, when this budget is finishing, you're going to come back and you're going to balance your budget. Now, I do have a whole video I already mentioned where I do a very deep dive into balancing your budget. Make sure you check that out once you're done watching this video and you're done preparing your budget. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and estimate your income. I'm just going to mark this paycheck 1, and again, we're going to use round easy numbers here, and paycheck 2 is 500. I think it's a good idea to include all of the money that you have coming into your bank account. So if you know you have a side gig as well, I would go ahead and mark that on here. Maybe you make $100 babysitting on the side as well. Go ahead and include that for $100. You go ahead and just put a line through the first line that says beginning balance on the planned column. We talk about this line a lot when we come back to balance our budget. So for right now, all we're going to focus on is the money that will actually be coming into our bank account during this budget period. Total this up, and that would be a total of $1,600. The next thing you're going to do is plan out your fixed expenses. Use this fixed expenses section strictly for your bills, okay? Your rent, your mortgage, any tithing you do, any utilities that you pay, any subscriptions you have, right? Any regular bills that are not actually debt. They are just things that you are paying throughout the month. Don't overcomplicate this. Budgeting does not have to be complicated. Just keep it simple. Another good way to look at this is to go ahead and copy over all of the bills that we marked in our budget calendar over here in this fixed expenses side. We're going to say the mortgage is $500. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be nice? Cable, $50. Yeah, right. Cell phone, $50. Electric, we'll go with $100. Gas, we'll go with $100. I told you I was going to keep this super simple. And the water bill will go back to $50. Now you have included everything that you planned out on your budget calendar over here on your budget worksheet, okay? We have included the amounts here that we're estimating. Maybe you know this to be true, like of course your mortgage is likely the same every month. Cell phone and cable are probably could be the same, and gas, electric, and water probably fluctuate. So again, you're just going to have to estimate. That is where your past 3 months of bank statements come in handy. You can look back and see what did you pay the past couple of months. Of course, depending on where you live, you'll have the seasonal changes and that will impact your bills. All you're really trying to accomplish here is having a good educated guess based on your past couple of payments so that you know the amount you are planning or estimating when you're sitting down to create your budget is at least close-ish. Just your best educated guess based on your past couple of bank statements, bills, credit card, all the things. Then you want to go ahead and total this section up. So let's see if I can do this without a calculator. Okay, so that's $850. Moving down to the next section, here's where you're going to put any debt, or if you happen to be debt-free, any other additional expenses. Here is also a good place to put random things that maybe are random annual bills or something that just happened to come up that you weren't planning for. The good thing about a budget is you can set it up however you want. I offer you this sheet as a guide to help you, but if these sections and categories don't make sense to you and feel confusing to you, you can set your budget up however you want. All you need to make sure you're following is the simple formula of income minus expenses equals 0. And that is really all you need to stick to, okay? So we're just going to pretend that this person maybe just doesn't use credit cards and perhaps they don't have a car payment. So let's just go ahead and say that all they have to do is pay a credit card for this month and their bill is going to be about $100, okay? So you can go ahead and total that up. And then we're going to move on to our next section, which is spending. When it comes to spending, it's a great habit to get into tracking your spending. And that just means simply finding a way to keep track of all of the money you spend that is not on paying bills or paying your debt. Any spending you're doing throughout the budget period. So things like food, shopping, Target trips, going to the movies, going out to eat, getting your oil changed, taking your pet to the vet, any of the things that you do that is additional spending, it's a great idea to start tracking it. That's going to really help you at the end of the month when you're balancing your budget. And it's going to give you a lot of data so you can understand where your money is actually going. When we are creating our budget, we're planning what we want to do with our money. However, we all know that life doesn't always happen how we plan. So at the end of this budget period, around August 4th, we need to then sit down, review all of the money that we spent, all of the bills we paid, all of the money we earned, all of the money we saved, all the things. And that's going to tell us whether or not we actually stuck to our budget. If you are someone who uses cash envelopes, you can use this section to plan out your envelopes. If you don't know what cash envelopes are, I have a whole video that explains it in great detail. I will link that down below and you can check it out. If you have trouble regulating your spending, cash envelopes is a great way to kind of help you rein it back in. So I'm just going to pick a couple random categories here. And we will plan out food, gas for our cars, maybe toiletries, I don't know. And how about vet? Okay, let's just go ahead and say this person is single and they only spend like $100 a month on food, but they also spend $100 on gas and maybe $25 for toiletries and household things and $25 for the vet, okay? So again, we're just going to total this up and that would be a total of $250. And then we want to look at our next section, which is savings and sinking funds. If you use sinking funds, you can use this section to plan it out. Again, if you're not sure what sinking funds are or how they work, I have a whole dedicated video that will explain everything you need to know. I will link that down below as well. And you can use this section for any money that you are planning to save for retirement. We're going to just say that this person is going to put a little bit of money in their IRA. We'll say that they're only going to put $25 this pay period. And then we'll say that they're also planning to save $25 for Christmas. Okay, so that's a total of $50. Now we've completed all of our sections. So the next thing we have to do is add everything up to get our totals here. Our budget is simply income minus expenses, and we want it to equal 0, all right? So when we're talking about income, we're talking about any money that's coming into our bank account during this budget period. And when we're talking about expenses, we are technically referring to all of these other sections. The fixed expenses, the debt and other expenses, our spending, and our savings, that is all money that is outgoing. That is all money that we are going to send out of our bank account once we are paid and we sit down to divide up our money, pay our bills, make our transfers. We just want our total income, which we are estimating at $1,600 for this budget period. We're going to put that here. So that is our total A. Then we're going to copy over our total fixed expenses, and there's a line for each one of these. Our total credit card, our total debt and other expenses, our total envelopes and spending section, that's $250, and our total savings, which is $50. Take the income, and we're going to subtract all of these other sections from our income. If you're using my budget sheet, you'll see the little calculation down here. We're looking to find the difference. So that means we're going to take our income, $1,600, and we are going to subtract our fixed expenses, our debt payments, our variable expenses, and our savings from that $1,600, okay? And what we want to see is this difference here coming out to zero. So let's go ahead and grab our calculator. I don't want to make a fool of myself, and do the math. That leaves us with a total of $350 that we have no plan for. So again, when we are looking at a zero-based budget, we want a plan for every dollar. We want this to come out to zero. That means you now need to go back and allocate this $350 elsewhere. There's a couple ways you can do it. The first way is you can go ahead and do this now, right? So let's just say, for example, this person wants to save for a big vacation. So they could just go and add vacation to their savings line and simply add in $350 there, okay? Now that would bring this total to $400 for savings and sinking funds, and that would bring this difference down to zero. However, this is simply your plan, and you really don't know how the month is going to go, right? So we are experiencing high inflation in the US right now. Gas could come in much higher. They could end up spending way more than $100 on food. Perhaps they have an unexpected guest come into town and they decide to go out a couple nights that week, and they actually end up spending $400 on food. You can see that taking this $350 and allocating it now when you are creating the budget and simply estimating and creating a plan for what you want to do with your money, it's probably not going to turn out that exact same way. Another option would be to just leave the budget as it is, because these are all the things that you truly value and want to spend your money on right now for this pay period. And at the end of the pay period, when you sit down to balance your budget and you realize you do indeed have $350 left, then you can go ahead and add it to your vacation savings account, and then you will have zero. Let's quickly look at another possible scenario. Let's pretend that this person, instead of spending $100 on food, they actually ended up spending $150 on food. If we are assuming that all of the other expenses worked out exactly how they planned when they created this budget, then this $350 they planned to have left over would actually be $300 because they spent an additional $50 on food. So now they have $300 left over at the end of the month. They can do whatever they want to do with that $300. Maybe they want to put $300 into their vacation. And I will only budget using these erasable pens for that specific reason, because I don't want scribbles all over my paper. They are amazing. I'll link them in the description box below. So now they have $300 left that they can put in their vacation fund, or maybe they want to split that. Maybe they want to put $200 in their vacation fund, and they have a balance on this credit card, right? They want to pay this credit card off. They want to save for vacation and pay off their credit card, right? So they can go ahead and pay that extra $100 on their credit card. So instead of just paying this initial $100 that they planned, they now have an extra $100 that they can add to this credit card payment, paying a total of $200. One other scenario would be that the $300, $350, whatever amount they do have left at the end of the budget period, perhaps they simply leave that amount in their checking account and they allocate that to be a buffer. A buffer is simply when you leave a little bit of extra money in your account so that if something comes in higher than planned, you're not going to accidentally overdraft your account or run your account down to zero. Now, the point to all these scenarios is just to show you that when you have money left at the end of the budget period, when following a zero-based budget model, you then want to go back and assign that leftover money to something else. And the great thing about that is whenever money is left over, that is money that you can now use to work towards your financial goals. So whether that is to go on a beautiful vacation next year, whether it is to save for Christmas, whether it's to put extra money in your Roth IRA to save for retirement, or whether it's to pay down debt and put extra payments on the debts that you currently have. Any extra money you can put towards your goals. I hope this made sense to you. If you have any questions about anything I did here on this mock budget, if you found anything confusing, please let me know, leave me a comment, and I will try to help you in any way that I can. I don't want you to be confused. Budgeting is super simple, and it only becomes complicated when we overcomplicate it. So that is how you create a budget from scratch, from zero, from never doing it before, or if you already know how to budget, but perhaps the way you were budgeting just wasn't quite working for you. Maybe it just didn't feel like it was clicking. Whatever the issue is, I hope this kind of helped you start from scratch, start fresh, and maybe view budgeting through a little bit of a different lens. If you're ready to go a little bit deeper and continue the conversation, you're going to want to check out this video here where we take a deep dive into how you can actually balance your budget or close it out at the end of each budget period. That is how you will get all of the important data and know whether or not you're actually sticking to your budget. I will link that video down below. I hope you'll leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this video. Was it helpful? Is there something else you'd like to see? All of the links you need are down there, whether you're looking for a budget spreadsheet, a budget binder, whether you want to just take my free budget course. There's also a link to my entire money transformation course. It's called Makeover Her Money, and it's going to take you from knowing absolutely nothing to becoming financially savvy with your own finances. You can check that out as well. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, I hope you'll subscribe and join my little family here on YouTube. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Happy budgeting. Bye.
I remember the day when we started talking. We were kids and I knocked down all of your marbles, but you did not seem